We're trying to figure out the best positioning for this before we get started here. When we go live, you're seeing it all in action. So my camera didn't let us focus until I was actually live, so I apologize. So this is one of my clients that we've been doing acne treatments on, and extractions, and we've worked together a long time. So hopefully you guys can see me pretty well from that angle. I may have to move you around, and then I'll have somebody in here to film us when I do extractions. Okay, so we're gonna get our steamer going. It's already preheated. It's actually important for your facials that you do that. And when someone's skin is in this condition, sometimes you want to wear your gloves for the facial. So when I'm going to do a lot of extractions, I usually use gloves for the treatment. My little drawer here has 4x4s. I'm going to pull my cart closer. So for cleansing and everything, I get the steam on right away. Will you let me know if it gets too warm? Yeah. Okay. Your skin's looking good since you worked on you last time.
Yeah, I think it's cleared out.
Good. So we've done one treatment and there was a little break in between. Let's see if we can get you guys more focused on her and a little closer. Okay, I think that's going to be better for you guys to see everything for now. So first we're going to cleanse. This is the Sunflower Creamy Cleanser. And remember, all your bottles after treatments like this and hair removal need to be sanitized with citrus too. A little trick I have is I actually put my bottles on my SMA on the cart so that those bottles that you've just touched don't end up mixed in with everything. So you do a dry cleanse, so you got the steam going, but here we go. You don't want to add any water to the creamy cleanser, and this sunflower one's designed for everybody. It could be whether you have breakouts or aging. It's really good for sensitivity and reactive skin and breakouts, but it's also good just for everybody when their skin's a little bit drier, because you can clean their entire face and their eyes and their eye makeup. My models always tell me after these they get a good education. So sometimes people who come and see me, they don't know every step of what's going on. So what I did was added water to my fingertips, and now I'm cleansing again, okay? And someone, hopefully seamlessly, is going to come in and help me film extractions and kind of get a close-up of those. And we already did one round. She had come in for her last appointment with me, and then I said, you know, we could really do a series, and she was so kind as to allow me to film it. So we're also going to do a peel, so you can see that. And I have my helper coming in, and she's going to film extractions when we're ready. You can probably come on this side and I'll hand it to you. Okay, so now she's very well cleansed. So I kind of hold my 4x4s like this, okay, and then I clean. Now, if you lift them up and there's a lot of makeup, then you want to flip them around and wipe again rather than using multiple sets. And I do use a certain amount of disposables in my services. Sometimes people use washable things like sponges for this. I never liked how little the sponges were. I had washable sponges and they would get kind of like raggedy, you know, like towels do, but quicker. So now I'm gonna fold these and kind of wipe again anywhere. If they have a lot of makeup on or it seems to be difficult to get off, then cleanse them twice. But she was easy to do a cleansing on. So now I'm gonna make a little enzyme. This is the Sunflower Creamy Cleanser. Excuse me, it's not wanting to focus. There we go. And remember, as you grab things off your cart, put them over on your SMA so you remember what to clean and you don't have to sterilize your entire tray if you're putting everything back down there during your service. So the jojoba beads, it doesn't matter if you put in the jojoba beads or the enzyme. Whoops. So if that happens, just pour some of them off. Sometimes when it gets kind of clumped together in there, it'll do that. Normally it comes out nicely like a little salt shaker. So you're going to need a few sticks, which I didn't put out. And for this step, you're going to open your enzyme. I'm also trying to avoid my steam to show you guys. Take a scoop of your enzyme and mix that into the mix, okay? And you don't need quite that many jojoba beads. We just have a little explosion come out. So if you use the right amount of jojoba beads, they're not hard to remove. We're probably going to make an all-in-one, but I really like the ability to be able to hand mix their exfoliant. So the other mix I do is I'll put 10% oxygen elixir instead of the enzyme to give an oxygen scrub. And that's really good for sensitive people or people that don't do well with the pumpkin. So remember, she's been steaming for a while now. Oh, hi! Someone just said they wish that was me. Because we're on my YouTube for the Estheticians, because I did a little post. And that way you guys get this information instantly too. Okay, so she just needs maybe another minute or so. If you're low on time at this point, you should also have a hand towel. And you should get all of the jojoba beads off and all of your scrub off of your gloves at this point. And what I like to do is fold my towel inside out, but keep it in a, you know, like a rectangle. And I'm going to put that right over here on the other clean towel. So I'm gonna grab a hot towel. First, you need to cool it down. Check it on your wrist like a baby bottle. You know, make sure you've cleansed your skin really well between each client. And then ask your client too if you're still concerned after that it might be too hot. You want to make sure that you ask them. So let me know if that's too warm anywhere, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So you want it pretty warm, but you don't want to roast them under your towel. You don't need to. Somebody just wrote something, but I couldn't see. So you give the towel, you know, a little press into the skin. Some people love that, and some people don't like to be smushed in the warm towel too long. If someone seems to be squirming around, you might ask them if they ever get, you know, even at the beginning of new facials, ask them if they get claustrophobic. So here's a bunch of jojoba beads. I'm folding it in half at this point because it was full of them. And at some point, your towel can fill up with beads, and then it won't remove anymore. So I folded it again, and I'm using a new part of the towel. And she's got a lot of beads, of course. But this is good to see because some scrubs are like that. They're full of manual exfoliating beads of some sort. Okay. Now, if there's just the teeniest, tiniest bit of beads, like a few here and there, they're going to come off with the rest of the facial, so you don't need to worry about that. So here's another 4x4. Now you notice I haven't turned off my steam, and that's for a reason. When you're going to do a lot of extractions, you don't want their skin to close down before you get started. So I hope you guys could kind of see me. I think you could sort of see that. So I've wetted this so much so I had to squeeze it out a little bit. Then you open it up and fold it like a hot dog, and then you twist it in the middle like a butterfly. Then you put it on. And then I highly recommend tanning goggles, because even 2 or 3 of these really does nothing under the mag lamp. Okay, I'm even going to get my light on, find my little tool and my SMA. It's over here, but it rolled to the side. Okay. And then we're going to turn the steam off. And now we're going to do the extractions. So this is the part where I'm going to try to help my little helper here. Got to move this. You feel like it'll be easier on that side or the other one?
This is good.
Okay. You guys are going to travel with me for a minute. Oh, hi. Oops, I don't think my glove was clicking it. Sorry that you're seeing all of my moving around. Okay. So you'll have to get pretty close, and I'm going to try to position her. Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. You know, actually we usually start up here. So what's going to be best for you? Hi. I think that it won't let us hold our camera that way. So we are going to try our best here, but this... Okay, I think that you guys can see now. Maybe somebody can comment. Maybe we turned the camera upside down and it didn't want us to do that. Okay, someone said yes, they can see. Sorry, you guys. Okay, So you can come in pretty close because this is the part that everybody always wants to see. And for my model, did you drink a little extra water this week?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good. So we talked about that last time. This one had kind of opened up during steaming. You can come even closer, like kind of like macro. There we go. So this one had opened up already, and it had a little spot that was, sometimes their capillaries get going because of the inflammation under these. So there's not only histamine, but there's pressure around the area. And then at the end of the facial, they don't look like that. They kind of close down, but see? And then my model, did you have any caffeine recently?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. So some people, depending on what they've done that week, are going to have more of this. This is also, you're removing, you know, sometimes blackheads, sometimes whiteheads that are taking up a lot of space and they're deep in the skin, so they connect down in where you might see a little spot. That's why you need to wear gloves. But this actually will look really good at the end of the facial. And this stuff doesn't budge easily on its own, okay? Can you see this one? And try to follow the direction of the pore. Also, I like to let a little histamine build up behind some of them. Let's turn you this way, sorry. I like the histamine to build up so that if there's anything else in there, boom, did you see that? So that was deeper in the skin, and when the histamine built up behind it, and that had also let off one little dot of blood already. So that'll fool you sometimes. Now it's clear, okay? So you have to go back, and I found the gentlest way for me was to get a little histamine going under some of them, and then go back and extract the rest of what's there, okay? So I'm glad you can see all this live. You can see that these are starting to get back to normal. This one didn't give everything up, but it might not be ready yet with enough histamine behind it. These are just some little blackheads. I hope you guys can see. And we have a little automatic trash now, so we don't touch the trash lid. So keep a few dry wipes around. I also like to add a little antioxidant toner. Sorry, my helper filming is having to hold the camera in a really strange way. So are you doing okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good. Her skin looks so much better. It's really fulfilling doing this work because you can get a lot of instant results. Is that okay with your neck?
Mm-hmm.
So you can see some of this is drying up and healing up, and we started the process of getting everything back on track with one other treatment. So lift and pump. See that? You've got to get all of it out. That's empty now. And you know, if you can see, I had to put a little extra pressure here and there's almost no indent, which is very unlike other methods that I used for years. So you may see some of the beads at this point, and as their skin kind of dries off, you can brush those off before you get to the next step. So we're gonna go right to that cheek, and when she turns, we're also gonna check the temple on the other side. Can you get a good view of these?
Mm-hmm.
And because she started up the right products again, these are very cooperative. So they need to get going on a little bit of exfoliation and they need to be hydrated. You doing okay?
Yeah.
I know where the tender spots are. So cheeks are tender, the temples, and around the nose. And sometimes other areas. This is people's face, you know. So we're gonna let a tiny bit of histamine build up. The reason is you can see this little indent. I'd rather have the pressure of the histamine get all of that up more towards the surface for me. Okay, so can you see these? There we go. So you can tell when they're kind of softer. The ones that get more hardened are also when their skin starts to close down after steaming, or if they're dehydrated, then this becomes harder. And when you're working on a lot of extractions that need to be done because they've built up for a while, or it's a first-time client, it's usually because the conditions aren't right the first time they come in. You need to do a series of treatments. Also, someone doesn't necessarily want to sit under the mag lamp for an hour and get extracted. People have a time limit, okay? So you can do maybe like 20 minutes, and then I highly recommend giving them a break and giving them the rest of their facial. So we have about 10 more minutes or so since we started. But ask your model. You know, some people aren't tolerant of this or they had bad experiences. I hope you can see all this. Can you see all of this that we've extracted? So when my little scoop gets full, I empty it out, but you can see what the edge I'm using is clean. So I'm gonna get one more. So just kind of empty out your scoop. If stuff gets stuck in there, you can use a little antioxidant toner. That side's empty. There we go. That was the last little bit. Did you see that? That was that last little bit that I said, you know, it will pop right out when we let a little histamine build up, and it did. These are real shallow little blackheads. Okay, so those all came right out. Just have to make sure you get the tail end of them. How are you doing with the camera?
Good.
Okay. So these I let histamine build up. I came back and now they're giving it all up with very little pressure, as you can see. That histamine prevents you from pressing into the skin so far. So you have to stretch out the skin. Can you see this? Watch. Oh, looks like nothing, but it's there. Can you see those? Okay, good. So from stretching the skin out, I know where they are. Sometimes I need to stretch again to check if I missed one, because these are invisible when the skin isn't checked for these, okay? So when someone runs their fingers over their own skin, they're gonna feel kind of little bumpies, but they won't look like they're on the surface. I knew that one was going to do that. So that one had a little bit of inflammation in it, but the great news is that's probably been there and gone between looking sort of happy and sore from all that pressure, and that'll clear up now. Are you doing okay with the extractions?
Yeah.
Okay. Just let me know honestly if it feels like you need a break anywhere. So some of them, you're going to check them and they're not going to give it up, okay? And those, sometimes when they're deep like this, because we can't use Lancets in California, you have to soften that up with fruit acids and that kind of thing at home, and then get it out in the next series of extraction, or the next facial, I should say. Okay, that's a tender spot. I'm going to be really gentle. Right around their cheekbones and their eyes. It's going to feel tender for them. And you can see this little spot is now turning to kind of a clear liquid. Whew. That one gave it up so quick I didn't have anything left to hold up. So I feel like I can get a lot more and I can move a lot faster with this method, see? And I can move really well through hard to extract areas. When I used fingers and the loop, you know, you had to sit there and really press into people's skin sometimes, and that never, you do have to do a version of that with this, but it's so much gentler. There we go. That one I was just after gave up the rest. Okay. There's 4 right here that are hard to see, but we'll see they're kind of deeper. There we go. So you want to check your time, you know, and kind of make it through their whole face. So there's more I could do, but like I said, I'm not gonna subject her to being extracted for an hour at a time. Not that some clients won't say, hey, can you do that? But, you know, the reality is when there's a lot to extract, then it's gonna take a certain amount of time, and it also is a positive thing to let them take the right home care home and get their skin in better condition, which helps you get more extracted faster. One esthetician I knew used to put these in a little dish of like rubbing alcohol, and you could see them floating around in there. You could swish your little, I don't want the alcohol ending up on their skin, but you could probably do it with the antioxidant toner. I'll have to try it. You're doing really well with all of these. See how there was a little pocket coming from the side. So when I pressed on the side, it all came out there. And her skin's, you know, drying up a little bit at this point, but what I did was last time I started on this cheek and this side of the chin, and it's looking much cleaner. So you can kind of alternate which direction you move to make sure the skin's at its maximum point of, you know, basically being receptive to extractions and warmed up from the steam. You can rewarm their skin with a towel, but only so much. Like I said, when there's a lot to extract, the only solution for that is to do a series. This one I just did, and that was the last of it, okay? How you doing with the camera? Oh my goodness. And how are you doing with your extractions?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I can feel them. We're almost done. So she's feeling it. You know, like I said, about 20 minutes is really all that you want to do. Because, you know, that's a pretty long time when something's pinchy. All right, I think we did a pretty good job. This is not all of it, but this is some of our, you know, I would say this, I started halfway through, I threw the other one away. So that's a lot. All right, so somehow we're gonna try to switch you guys back. Hopefully it won't tell us it's forbidden again, but then it still works. Okay. We'll turn that off. Oh, good. So, you did it. You got through all the extractions. And then, are you sure you want to do the peel?
Yeah.
I think it would be really good. And
yeah,
we'll
I would like to.
We haven't done one in a while, so we'll do, you know, for a shorter amount of time. But peels help them clear up very quickly, which is nice. She's got great skin. We were talking last time about the checklist, and it sounded like there were a few things going on, right? Maybe a lot of pre-salted foods.
Yeah, a lot of pre-salted foods.
Uh-huh.
But I did cut down on the bread.
Oh, good. So bread, your skin doesn't have as much histamine today, which is good. So they get higher histamine levels from... How does this feel? Does this toner feel okay?
Yes.
Sometimes it feels a tiny bit stingy after extractions. So you want to clean really well after all of that, okay? This is 4x4 soaked in the antioxidant toner, okay? So this is just the extraction only facial that we're going to do on her. But this includes a mask and her peel and everything she needs. So we created that treatment because sometimes teens especially, you're an adult now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm 18.
So she is just now an adult, but I worked on her when she was a teen, and teens sometimes, you know, they don't want massage. It just seems kind of awkward to them at certain ages. So if they're all about business and doing extractions, we're going to use the Mandelic peel. Then, you know, you don't need to add that in for them. They do get a little cold stone massage, but that'll come after the peel. So we'll cool everything down at the same time. So we're gonna give her eyes a little breather. It's so bright in here, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
This will feel a little bit tingly and stingy where we did extractions. And watch their skin. If it feels really, really itchy, really stingy, you know, like to the point where you feel like it needs to come off, let me know right away, okay?
Okay.
It should feel, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 would be take it off. 1 would be you barely feel anything. You know, most people feel like a 3 or a 4. What level does it feel like it is so far?
Probably a 4.
A 4?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after extractions, that can happen, and we'll remove it quickly over where we did extractions, okay?
Okay.
So you want to do kind of like a flash peel where you did extractions to get really, really quick recovery time, and it'll also start to break down more of the stuff that's still potentially in there in some areas. It takes 3 to 6 treatments in a row, sometimes only 1 or 2, depending on how their skin is doing, as far as how much there is to extract and how long they let the extractions build up. So if you have a client that gets breakouts and then they don't see you for 3 to 6 months, their extractions might build up where they were staying under control when they were coming every 4 weeks, or they did every 2 weeks to do the series. So because she's at a 4 and she hasn't done one in a while and we just extracted her, we're not leaving that on very long, and you don't need to get a great result. Does it still feel tingly in certain areas?
Maybe kind of like the upper lip. I don't know why.
Probably just didn't get it all, but I can keep wiping until you don't feel it. And you might feel a very slight tingle, but normally it neutralizes. Feel like I need to wipe again?
No, it's good.
Okay. She's also been using the triple blemish control, so her skin has been prepped. I do like to wipe twice with clean 4x4s after a peel, because the first wipe sometimes leaves some major activity in certain areas. There's still some little beads up here. We're gonna brush you off so we don't have a surprise when your facial's over. So this is how you do the wrap. This is folded. Put this on. Here's the folded corner, and you tuck this in. Okay. So because we just did a peel, we're gonna put squalane on to do the cold stone massage. Then, because we did a peel, some people with dry skin need a few drops of oil anyway before a mask. She's been a little dehydrated, but I wouldn't say she's a dry skin person. So we're gonna leave some of this oil on when we put the mask on, and that gives her skin a little bit of a barrier after all those extractions and that peel. You don't necessarily want to take these big active masks and make straight contact with the skin unless, you know, their skin has a little barrier like that. So I'm going to take my 4x4s that I wiped off the peel and I just threw them away. And I'm thinking about my mask now. We're going to use the Peptide Repair Mask on her today. So these are my Jade Stones. I have yet to get these on our website, but I collect them from all over the California coast. And if I can't personally collect them, I want to find local California jade that you guys can use in facials, okay? So these need to be soaked in your sanitation solution, your barbicide, that kind of thing after each client. You soap them up to clean off all the oil and then sanitize them. Sorry, I brushed up a few more of those little guys. Those will come off when we get your mask off. So you want to do this for a few minutes, at least a minute or two. And this really gives the skin a controlled cool down. And this really helps with how their skin looks when they leave. I do have a quick extraction treatment where I warn my clients that we don't do the cold stones and we don't do the mask, so their skin has to do more recovery on its own. But that's usually for not as many extractions, and it's only for quick little treatments for littler things, like a few extractions or something that they can recover from easily. So you can hold the stones on areas that you did a little more work for a second, okay? So, let me get the Peptide Repair Mask. I just brought this one in. I'm going to open this up. This one's actually great for all skins, especially if you're on kind of a time limit too in a facial. This is an amazing mask regardless, but if you need to do a quick removal of the mask, because sometimes herbal masks and mud take longer to remove, the Peptide Repair Mask is great after peels. This is one of our newer masks, so we're going to get a permanent label put on that soon too. And this is olive and sunflower based. Let me know if this feels really stingy or tingly anywhere. Okay. It should feel soothing, but sometimes when you use masks on certain clients, or if you haven't used it as many times on them, then you're going to see potentially new allergies or that kind of thing come up. Does this feel pretty soothing?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this one is creamy, so I just went ahead and applied it. This can go around the eyes if you need a really killer eye treatment, because there's peptides. And we took out the niacin because it was getting people's blood flowing, and we really wanted this to be a repair mask that's full of peptides. I probably even used a little extra cream, so you don't need as much of that creamy mask because it really keeps their skin hydrated. I could have used maybe a third less. So I'm using my water with the cold stones, and got one butterfly. Open up your 4x4s. And keep those masks hydrated the whole time that they're on. If a mask dries out, it's a myth, to let masks dry. And all of my estheticians who've been doing this for years, like I am, know what I'm talking about. Even other younger estheticians who were taught how to do this, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so make sure they're not claustrophobic. That could come up again in this position here with all of these 4x4s on, but that's how I do it to keep their skin cooking. And it's really important with muds and herbal masks that dry. You want to make sure they don't dry on the skin, and then you're going to have a really hard time getting them off. So you can wash your hands. At this point, I'm actually going to do that because I do have a sink now. And you want to kind of get off anything that might be left on your gloves at this point so that you have nice fresh gloves to work with when you put on their finishing product. And I had one stick fall during all of this, and I just left that on the floor. So you don't want to really pick up anything on the floor once you get started. And I'm taking the extractor that I had put to the side, I rinsed it out, and I'm putting it in my disinfectant solution to soak for 10 minutes. Okay, so we have a few more minutes. So what I'm going to do while she's sitting is, normally I would do this quietly, but I'm going to clean out some of the dishes we used. So I poured extra Mandelic in there too, which you want to use just what you need and don't be heavy-handed with your products. So when you're heavy-handed, you're spending a lot more on your back bar. So in California, we have to soap out our facial brushes and then soak them in the disinfectant solution. So I've just washed my facial brush, and now I'm going to put it in the disinfectant solution. And I'm going to spray my mask bowl with the citrus too and let that sit for 30 seconds, okay? The other thing I'm going to do are the stones while she's cooking. So stones go in disinfectant solution, and my stone bowl is getting sprayed too with the citrus too. We're getting our last hot towel. You can put 1 or 2 drops of essential oil in the sink or the bowl that you use to make these. This one's been sitting in there by itself for a while, so it's really hot. So you get it almost to the right temperature, a little bit extra warm. You're going to take off the 4x4s. Is that too warm or is that okay?
It's okay.
Okay. So you're going to give a little press, but a little less time than the first round because you don't want to reheat up their skin after cooling it down and masking it. you want it to feel nice, but this isn't a heat up for extractions. So just do not let that towel sit as long or it'll reheat their skin. So you can see they're going to have a tiny bit of time today, potentially even certain spots for a couple days in spritz you, that, you know, they're going to be recovering, kind of like hair removal, but it should be no longer than 24 to 48 hours. And the initial histamine that's causing a little bit of, you know, because there's a tiny bit of puffiness, that only takes about 30 minutes to an hour usually to pretty much subside, but some of the rest of the healing process, which people are going to be happy not to have all of those things in their skin anymore. So it's not going to look bad for a couple days, but there's going to be some recovery time where the areas were extracted. So this is the hyaluronic serum, and we're going to moisturize with the new Peptide Repair Lotion, which I haven't even done a big launch on. So the lotion is really light, and it's made for people that have oily skin, potentially breakouts or acne. And we are getting the Mineral Defense Cream. Okay. Now with the Mineral Defense Cream, you just need the tiniest bit to put with your moisturizer at the end. And most of the time, you're going to want to spritz them again real quick with toner. And their skin's going to be extremely hydrated from the whole facial. So what's funny with minerals, any mineral I've used, is they're, you know, they're a little tricky to blend in at the end of a facial because they don't like to soak in quickly because the skin is so hydrated. So you just have to keep working it in until it's completely blended. But now when she goes out for the day, she's got a little bit of protection even though it's the afternoon. And that's a little bit of squalane. Do that at the very end. Okay, thank you to my model. Thank you, everybody. I'm gonna make sure again that there's no mask, no beads, nothing left over on the edges of her face. And I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.